Hello class. We're about to get started on section 3.3, buying stuff without money. Our learning objectives is to compute payments and charges associated with installment loans, to identify the true cost of a loan by computing APR, and to evaluate the cost of buying items on credit. Okay, so now we look down here at the bottom. It says fixed installment loans, and also we're on page 233. A fixed installment loan is a loan that is repaid in equal payments. Sometimes the buyer would pay part of the cost at the time of purchase. This is known as a down payment. Here are some other key terms used to describe installment loans. The amount financed is the amount a borrower will pay interest on. Amount financed equals price of item minus down payment. The total installment price is the total amount of money the buyer will ultimately pay. Total installment price is equal to sum of all payments plus the down payment. The finance charge is the interest charge for borrowing the amount financed. Finance charge equals total installment price minus the price of the item. Okay, so now we move on to the next page. It says, now let's take a look at the problem posed in this lesson's opening paragraph. The pertinent information is this. We have the cost of the car, which is $12,260, the down payment, the monthly payment, and the terms of the loan. So we look here at number one. It says, what was the amount financed? Refer to the definitions on the previous page. And they talk about at the bottom of page 233, which we went over. So they asked us what was the amount financed. So the amount financed, and I'm going to abbreviate it with AF, amount financed is equal to the cost minus the down payment. And I'm going to abbreviate down payment with DP. So the amount financed, the cost of the vehicle is $12,260 minus the down payment, which is $3,000. So the amount financed will be $9,260. Now we go on to problem 2. What's the total amount of all monthly payments? So they tell us the monthly payments is $231.50, and the term of the loan is 48 months. So you will multiply this by 48. So we could put this in our calculator. So we have $231.50 times 48 months. So that would give you a total of $11,112. Okay, number 3. What's the total installment price? This is the answer to the question, how much money will you actually end up paying for the car? So the total installment price, I'll abbreviate that and make that TIP, is equal to the total monthly payments, which is TMP, plus the down payment. And I should have put this here. This should have been the total monthly payments here. So the total monthly payment, as we see here, is $11,112 plus the down payment. The down payment was $3,000. Now we add them together, and our total installment price is $14,112. Now we go here to number 4. It says find the finance charge, then describe what the amount really represents. Okay, so the finance charge is equal to the total installment price. I guess I'm writing it out here. This is that TIP price minus the cost. So the total installment price was $14,112 minus the cost. The cost is what we have for the cost of the car, which is up here, which is $12,260. So our finance charge would be $1,852. That will be our finance charge. So we will write this out. This is the total interest / finance charge paid over the life of the loan. Okay, so now we move on to the next page. Now on the next page, if you notice here, we have a tan box right in the center of the page. And this is telling you how to calculate monthly payments on a fixed installment loan. And they have the formula here. So M is the monthly payment, P is the principal, R is the rate, and then N is the total number of payments. So now we look down here. Have you noticed that car makers never have sales? They're always events. Anyhow, for the Ford 2015 holiday event, they offered a 2015 Taurus with a special APR of 2.9% for 60 months. If one particular vehicle has a selling price of $27,295 and the buyer trades in an older car for a down payment of $4,500, calculate the monthly payment for this loan. So let's write out the pertinent information we're given here. The principal. Now we know the initial cost of the car was $27,295. But remember, our principal is what we're initially going to pay. So we have to subtract off that $4,500 down payment because our new principal with the down payment would be $22,795. So this principal is after you take out the down payment. You got to remember that. Now the rate, they say is 2.9%. So we'll rewrite that as a decimal, 0.029. And then our N, we want to know the life of the loan. So that'll be 60. So it'd be 60 payments. All right, so now we have all the information we need now. So we go here to this formula. So we know it's the principal times the rate divided by 12 all over 1 minus 1 plus R over 12 to the negative N. All right, now we're going to go through and do some substitution. Our principal is $22,795. Our rate is 0.029 all over 12 divided by 1 minus 1 plus 0.029 all over 12 to the negative 60th power. Now, we put this in our calculator. So we will have our $22,795. And then I'm going to put a division here, so then we will have the fraction. And then times, it'll be 0.029 divided by 12. Now that took care of our numerator. Now we go to our denominator. We have 1 minus the parenthesis, 1 plus 0.029 divided by 12. I have to move this cursor over, close the parenthesis, and now we're going to take this to the negative 60th power. And our monthly payment will be $408, and we'll round it to decimal places, so it'll be 58 cents. $408.58. So that will be our monthly payment. Now, I want to talk to you slightly about a strategy when you're doing this in your calculator. Because this formula is long to type out in your calculator, I wouldn't get rid of this. I would leave this here, and then whenever we need to do any more monthly payments, we could just replace the numbers instead of retyping it out again. And we'll see that soon. So let's go here to number 6. If the loan was based on simple interest, the future value would be 22,795 times 1 plus 0.029 times 5. Calculate this amount, then divide by 60 to find the monthly payment. What do you think accounts for the fact that simple interest makes it higher? Okay, so we're going to put this in our calculator. So it says we have 22,795 at our parenthesis 1 plus 0.029 times 5, close our parenthesis. So this is how much we have, and we have to, of course, round that to 28 cents. So they're telling us to take this $26,100 and 28 cents and divide it by 60. So the monthly payment, so we were at $26,100.28 all over 60, which gave us $435 if we round it to decimal places. So that's how much the monthly payment is. Now remember, on the previous page, the monthly payment was $408.50. They want to know why simple interest monthly payment is higher. Okay, so we could say simple interest payments include the same amount of interest, even though the principal is getting smaller. However, with our installment loan, as the principal gets smaller, so does the interest. So that's the difference. All right, now we come here to the bottom of this page. We have the annual percentage rates. It says many lenders add upfront fees to a loan and then spread them over the life of the loan. This has the effect of making the actual interest rate that a borrower pays higher than the quoted rate. Because this can be confusing, lenders are required by law to disclose an annual percentage rate, or APR, that reflects the true interest charge. This allows consumers to compare loans with different terms. The mathematical procedures for computing APR are extremely complicated, so tables have been compiled that help you to estimate APR for a loan. There is also a wide variety of APR calculators available online. A partial APR table is shown in the following table. Okay, so as you see here, we have this APR table, and it's determined by the number of payments, anywhere from 6 payments all the way to 60 payments. And typically when we do payments, typically the payments are monthly, so you can look at this as from 6 months to 60 months as well. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go on to the next page. And at the top, it says the procedure for computing APR. It says find the finance charge per $100 borrowed using the formula. Finance charge divided by amount financed times $100. Step 2, find the row in the table marked with the number of payments and move to the right until you find the amount closest to the number from step 1. Step 3, the APR to the nearest half percent is at the top of the corresponding column. Find the finance charge per $100 for the loan described in questions 1 through 4. Step 1 in computing APR. All right, so we have a finance charge, and I'll abbreviate this as FC, and we know the amount financed AF, and that'll be times $100. So what we would need to do here is this here. It says in questions 1 through 4. So we're going to go back to questions 1 through 4. And we look here. The finance charge, when we go back here to page 234, we found our finance charge to be $1,852. So it'd be $1,852. And the amount financed, we also go back here. The amount financed was actually from question number 1, which is $9,260. And we multiply that by $100. Now, when we divide these two, matter of fact, I'll put this in the calculator so you can see it. So we had 1852 divided by 9260. That's 0.2, and then we'll multiply that by 100. So this would give us $20. All right. So now we have our $20. Now we go down here to number 8. It says, look at the row in the table corresponding to 48 months and find the two entities that are closest to your answer from question 7. Then find the APR corresponding to each and use the result to estimate the APR for the loan. Steps 2 and 3 in computing APR. Describe how you got your estimate. Okay, first of all, we go back to this table. We go to 48 months. And then we try and find $20. If we cannot find $20 exactly, we'll try and find the number or numbers that's closest to it. Now, if you look here, 1945 and 2059 are almost equal distance from the $20. Technically, 1945 is slightly closer because it's a 55-cent difference, whereas 2059 is 59 cents different. But we would just say, for the sake of this problem, because it's only a 4 cents difference, that we would just say that they're equal distance. So if you look here, both of these are between 9 and 9.5. 9.0, 9.5% for these values. So now, it says they want us to find the APR corresponding to this. So what we will write first is $20 is halfway between the $19.45 and the $20.59. So their rates are 9.0% and 9.5%. Halfway between those will give us 9.25%. Now, in a lot of cases, we will have an exact value of one value, but because this is halfway, we have to take the two percentages and divide by 2. Now, I can show you this really quick, since this is definitely on the video. I could show you how we get the 9.25. So we'll take the two values, the 9%, and I don't need to write the percent. We know it's percent. 9% and the 9.5%. And since it's two values, we're divided by 2. And that's how we get the 9.25%. Okay, now, it says here, one way to save money on a fixed installment loan is to pay it off early. This would allow a buyer to avoid paying the entire finance charge. The amount of the finance charge that is saved when a loan is paid off early is called unearned interest. One way to calculate unearned interest for a loan uses the APR table we've already been introduced to. This is called the actuarial method. Okay, now, the actuarial method, as you see here, we have some new variables and new values that we have to learn. Okay, first thing, U is the unearned interest. K is the number of payments remaining excluding the current one. R is the monthly payment. And H is the finance charge per $100 borrowed for a loan with the same APR and K monthly payments. All right, so as a reminder, here are the specifics of the loan we've been working with. So these are the same 4 values we had from when we started this lesson here. Okay, number 9. When making your 36th payment, how many payments would remain? Okay, so they said you made the 36th payment. Now remember, you have 48 payments. So all you have to do is take 48 minus 36, and it's 12 payments that remain. Okay, number 10. If you decide to pay this loan off at the time of the 36th payment, how much money would you save? You'll need to do some work to find the value of H. Use the 12 payments row of the APR table. Okay, first of all, let's look at it like this. They tell us that we're going to pay the loan off at the 36th payment. Now, we have to remember the 36th payment is still a regular payment. So you are going to pay that regular interest on the 36 payments. It's the rest of the payments that you will not have those payments that you will have to, that interest that you would have to pay. Okay, so we're going to go through this so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. All right, so we know our formula. U is equal to K times capital RH all over 100 plus H. Now, we go through and substitute. First of all, U, we don't know what the unearned interest is yet. That's what we're solving for. K is the number of payments remaining. Now, we already figured that out. That's 12. 12 is the number of payments remaining. Now, it says R is the monthly payment. The monthly payment is $231.50. And then we have here, which is the H. H is the finance charge per $100 borrowed for the loan. Okay, so now, here comes the, interesting part. RH will have to be solved like this here. We will have to go back to the table. Now remember, when we looked here for the $20, we was at 48 months. But now, since we're going to pay it off, we got 12 payments left. So we go here to the 12th month. and we would go over here to the 9.5 and the 9.0. So that'll be 4.94 and 5.22. So over here at H, again, it'll be 4.94 plus 5.22, and we have to divide by 2. Because remember, we're going to take the average since we have two values. Now, if we put this in our calculator, we would have 4.94 and then plus, what's that, 5.22, and then we would have that divided by 2, and that would give us 5.08. So H is equal to 5.08. So we'll put 5.08 here, and then that will be divided by 100 plus 5.08. Now, we can put all this in our calculator. So we have 12 times 231.50 times 5.08. Now that would take care of our numerator. Our denominator be 100 plus 5.08. And that would give us the unearned interest will be $134.30. That would be our unearned interest. All right, so we move on to the next page. It says, in this situation, you would surely want to know how much it would cost to pay off the loan. The first step would be to find the total cost of all the remaining payments after the 36th payment. So we would take the monthly amount, which is $231.50, multiply that by the 12 payments, and that would give us $2,778. That's how much was remaining if we didn't pay everything off by the 36th payment. This is how much we would end up paying for those other 12 payments. Now, number 12, your answer to question 11 is what the payoff would be if you weren't getting credit for unearned interest, but you are. So subtracting the unearned interest you found will give you the payoff amount. So you had $2,778 minus the unearned interest, which is $134.30. So the payoff amount will be $2,643.70. Now, it says discuss the pros and cons of paying off that particular loan early. If you were in that situation, do you think it would have been worthwhile for you to pay it off early? Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do a lot of pros and cons. I'm just going to do one pro, one con. One pro is no more monthly payments. And you save $134.30. The con, you have to come up with $2,643.70 at one time. So those are the pros, a pro and a con. Now, if you have the money, great. You come up with the money and it's no problem. But if you don't, it could be a problem. It also asks us, do we think it would be worthwhile for you to pay it off early? Just like I said, if you have the money, it would be. But if not, then it wouldn't be. All right. Now we move on to the next page. Now we go here to what is called the unpaid balance method. Now, the unpaid balance method is one way that banks calculate finance charges on a credit card. Is the unpaid balance method. In this case, interest is charged only on the balance left over from the previous month. Suppose that you had an unpaid balance of $356.75 at the beginning of August and made purchases of $436.50. A payment of $200 was made during the month. The interest on the unpaid balance is 1.8% per month. Our goal would be to find the finance charge and the balance on September 1st. The billing cycle for credit cards and loans can begin and end on any day of the month. However, for the examples given in this lesson, we'll assume the cycle ends on the last day of the month. Okay, number one, it says find the amount of interest that will be charged on the unpaid balance. Show your work. So, the unpaid balance, if we look here, we had $356.75. That was the unpaid balance from the previous month. And we'll multiply by the 1.8%. So it'll be $6.42. Now it says use your answer from question 1 and the information about payments and purchases to find the new balance on the card. Show all work again. Okay, first of all, we started off with $356.75 from the previous month. Then we add on the interest, which is $6.42. We add on a purchase that was made, which is $436.50, which is told here. And then we will subtract off a payment, which is $200. And this will give us $599.67 total. Okay, now we go here to the back. It says the average daily balance method. Because a company that issues credit cards doesn't make as much money when users pay off the balance every month, they sometimes charge an annual fee for use of the card. Another way for them to make money from all users is to use the average daily balance method for computing the finance charge. In this method, the balance for each day of the month is used to compute an average daily balance, and interest is computed on that average. So in effect, consumers start paying interest on the day they make a purchase. Ouch. Calculations using the average daily balance method can be done in a series of steps as illustrated by the next set of questions. The credit card statement shown here displays more detail on the account we studied in questions 1 and 2. So we got the previous balance, we got purchases, we got a payment, and we have another purchase. The goal is to find the average daily balance, the finance charge for the month, and the new balance on September 1st. The interest rate is 1.8% per month on the average daily balance. Okay, first of all, it says write the new balance next to each day listed below in the first blank. Ignore the second blank for now. So we know on August 1st, we start off with $356.75. All right. Now, from August 1st to August 7th, we go from the 1st to the 6th. Well, that's the second part. We'll get back to that. So they say from the 1st to the 7th, we made a $59.95 purchase. So we would add that to this balance here, and that'll give us $416.70. Next, on the 12th, we made another purchase of $223.75. So we would add that here, and that would give us $640.45. The 18th, we made a $200 payment. So we will subtract $200 here, and that would be $440.45. And then finally, we made another purchase of $152.80. So that'll be $593.25. Okay, now for step 2, it says find the number of days for each balance. How many days was the balance $356.75? Using the same idea, fill in the second blank next to each balance above with the number of days that the balance was at that amount. Make sure the total number of days adds up to 31 days, which is the number of days in August. Okay, so they want us to go up here and fill out this second portion. Now we look here from August 1st to the 7th. We don't count the 7th. We count from the 1st to the 6th. So that'll be 6 days. Because on the 7th day, it changed. From the 7th to the 12th, we only go from the 7th to the 11th. That's 5 days. And then from the 12th to the 18th, we go 12th to the 17th. That'll be 6 days. And then the 18th to the 24th, but we know we only go to the 23rd. That'll be 6 days. And then here for the 24th, they didn't show anything else. So that means to the end of the month, we didn't incur any more charges, and the end of the month goes to the 31st. So we'll go from the 24th to the 31st, which is 8 days. And when you add all of this up, it's supposed to equal 31, which it does. Now, it says, find the number of, oh, we already did that part. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next page. Now, on the next page, we have this table. They want us to basically fill in the information that we had before. But it says copy the first 2 columns in the table below from your answers on the previous page. Then multiply to fill in the last column. Then add your results. Okay. So we had 356.75. We have 416.70. We had 640.45, 440.45, and 593.25. Then we had 65668. Okay, so that is what we had from the previous page. Now what they want us to do, they want us to take the balance and multiply by the number of days. And when we do that, that will give us $2,140.50. And then we do it with the rest. So this will give us $2,083.50. This will give us $3,842.70. Then be $2,642.70. And then this will be $4,746. And then when we add all of this up, it will give us $15,455.40. Now, step 4. It says divide by the total number of days to get the average daily balance for the month. So we have $15,455.40, and we're divided by 31 days because there's 31 days in August. And that will give us $498.56. You can put that in your calculator. Okay, number 7, which is step 5, find the finance charge by calculating the amount of interest on the average daily balance. Recall that interest on the card is 1.88% per month. How much interest will be due on the average daily balance? So the average daily balance is $498.56, and we'll multiply by the 1.8%. So that would give us $8.97. Now step 6. Find the new ending balance by adding a finance charge to the last balance. Now, the last balance was this $593.25. So we had to add that finance charge to it, the $8.97, which would give us $602.22. Yeah, it's a few steps here, but I would think that when you go back to look at it, I think you should be fine. Okay, now we go down here. It says, suppose you have a $2,300 balance on a credit card with an interest rate of 1.25% per month, and the minimum payment for any month is the amount of interest plus 2% of the principal balance, or $5, whichever is higher. If you don't make any more purchases on that card and make the minimum payment for 6 months, how much will you pay down the balance? Let's find out. By the way, the interest and minimum payment percentages in this problem reflect industry averages in 2015. This certainly sounds like we'll need to compute some interest. After all, we were told that the interest is 1.25% per month. But sometimes problems contain extraneous information. Read the problem carefully and explain why we don't need to worry about the amount of interest and calculating how much the balance decreases. Okay, that is because we'll pay all the interest off each month by making the minimum payment. Now I'll show you this real quick. It's 1.25% per month. That's the amount of interest. But they told us that the minimum payment for any month is the amount of interest plus 2%. So the amount of your interest, whatever this 1.25% is, you would take that and then add 2% to it, or it would be $5, whichever one is higher. So you automatically pay the interest off plus more. So that is why we don't have to worry about that. So interest will have no effect on the balance decreasing, because we already pay the interest. Now, it will affect us as far as we're paying that money, but it won't affect us as far as not decreasing the amount that's owed. So now we move on. And I believe this is the last page of this section. So number 10, in fact, what really matters is that the balance is going to decrease by 2% each month. Use this fact to find the new balance after 1 month. So let's look at this. $2,300 was the amount that was on the card. But remember, it's going to go down by 2%. So if you think about it, if we didn't go down at all, we would be paying 100%. But since it's going down by 2%, that means that we're going to pay 98% of the $2,300. Because if it didn't go down at all, we'd still owe $2,300. But it's going down by 2%. So you know it'll be 100% minus the 2%, which is 98%. And that's how we get this value. When you put this in your calculator, it'll leave you $2,254 after that first month. Now it says here, repeat your calculation from question 10 5 more times to find how much the balance would have decreased after 6 months. Now listen, I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. So what I want to do, I want to utilize what we learned in the previous lessons. So we don't have to write all of this out like we normally would do. If you look at this problem here is in basically exponential decay form. Remember the y equals ab to the x. So basically y is equal to, the a would be 2300, the b would be 0.98, and then we don't know how much time it is. So what we're going to do, we're going to put this into our calculator. Y equals 2300, parentheses 0.98, and we're going to take this to the x power. We're going to hit this wheel here, hit the table, and then what we're going to do, we're going to type out the months. Now we already did month 1, which gave us 2254, but they want us to go all the way to, what's that, month 6, because they want us to go 5 more times. So we could type in 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and it gives us all of those values. So we could say, I do 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are the months. So month 2, it'll be $2,208.92. Month 3, it'll be $2,164.74. Month 4, it'll be $2,121.45. Month 5, it'll be $2,079.02. And then month 6, it'll be $2,037.44. Now we go here to problem 12. Just make a guess. How long do you think it would take to pay off the full balance at this rate? Discuss and ask your instructor to give their thoughts to this question. Okay, now listen. First of all, we know we're dealing with this equation. This is the first thing. We already did it earlier, but this is the equation we're dealing with. Okay, now, this is what we need to do. We need to get the y value from here to either equal 0 or to go less than $5. Because remember, on the previous page, it says you will pay the minimum payment for any month is the amount plus 2% of the principal, or $5, whichever one is higher. So if we get it down to $5 or lower, we know we're there. Okay, so let's try something here. I want to try some big numbers. Let's do 200. Okay, 200 doesn't work. Let's try 300. Look at 300. It's down to $5.36. 301, 302, 303, 304. So it'll be about 304. So we could say it's about 304 months to get to $5 or below and pay it off. Okay. Now, I don't think, just trying to take a look here. Yeah, we do have a graph here. Okay, with this graph here, if we want to go where y is equal to 0, you see how far we would have to go in? Oh, that's right. We would have to type the equation out again and then slide on this line. Let me show you this here. So if you type out the equation again, y is equal to 2300 times 0.98, and then all take it to the x power. Okay, so we got our equation. we can, let me go in a little bit more. Okay, we could click here on the graph and we could drag it. We can keep dragging until we get to where it's going to be like a little bit under. See right here at 300, it's at 536. Yeah, see, it's kind of hard to move it with my mouse, but you get the gist of it. You could drag it and then you could get to the amount as well, or you could play around with the numbers here. So either way, you see that it's 304 months. Okay, class, and we are done. So remember, you have to do your 3-3 check assignment, and please get that in. Have a nice day.